Forex is the biggest market in the world, so it doesn't matter if one bank executes like a huge amount or the other less. It doesn't really matter. So, but all these liquidity providers or banks, in the end, most of the time, they are the market.
They're choosing the end game.
Yeah.
And where price is going.
In the end, they execute it on a much higher level, on the Fed level.
Mm-hmm.
Like they getting.
So it's very much a game of like, it's the way that I understand it is there's obviously spread, there's commission, there's money to be made off of that stuff, but it's more so the execution in terms of if I'm executing at 1.1, you know, and it's a sell or something, they're trying to execute at 1.15.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to execute at a price a little bit higher than you. So every time, then when you close, you know, you're exiting at 1.08, but like they're exiting at 1.06 or something, right? Like they're trying to close lower and make more off of you. So they're consistently giving you a worse price.
Yeah.
To make those beyond the spread, like all that,
And that's why you want to spread out your orders, that you won't get sanctioned by your liquidity. What I would be afraid of is like U.S. regulators, as we see right now. They're
dun dun dun.
They are the kind of regulators. They take action first, and the company can explain later. Mm-hmm. So, if I would be the firm, I wouldn't put up the risk at all. I would find different solutions.
In terms of like putting the flow to a broker,
yeah, because they can argue that like that, and doesn't matter what the legal team says, because as we see right now, they take action.
Yep,
and you get you're out of.
Well, I think a big part of what's going on right now is the fact that there was flow going through, to an extent, and the brokers in the U.S. or Canada, and there's trading CFDs and this and that. I think that's a big part of it. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think in MFF context right now, it's a weak point, because they don't really put the market through. They don't really put the trades through the market. It was like a slim kind. Because I think it would be worse if it was more, because then you could argue, and actually our lawyers told us as well, in America you have the problem if you are in the market at some extent and manipulate the whole market with a product that isn't regulated. So, and that's if they, let's say, put up like 30% of their traders to the market as an unregulated entity, they would manipulate the whole market.
Isn't that part of though, are they being alleged of doing that at the moment? I think it might be part of it.
I think it's just
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just if the counts are, as far as I remember, it's just misleading, which is the wording on the website, and the other things are the actual trading if they are broken. But I think with them, well, they are fighting the fight for the firms right now, and I think it's 5 things that will be matter in the court. It's like first manipulation point, which isn't even a count because they can prove it, just the texts, and I think it's just in there to make them look bad in front of the jury.
Really bad.
Yeah, but on the other hand, they can prove that they actually pay out and don't even ask. I was funded with them, and I got paid every time, no questions asked. Even if you violate it, you get paid 50%. Like, I think they were on the side, like they wanted to do it good, but they actually on the b-booking side, like they operated the business like a b-book broker, basically. If that's the point, every broker has to be banned because everyone do it. It's
a big problem,
and
a wider problem.
Like banks are getting fined for that all the time.
Yeah.
So that's not the problem here. I think the biggest problem is like first the manipulation. We got that out. The misleading. Okay, they get fined for that. Blah blah blah. Put up different wording on the website. They're good. Third thing is how they classify the funds. I think that will be a big point. Are these funds that traders put up?
Like money laundering to an extent?
Not exactly, but are these funds that people pay classified as investment products? Like,
well, they are classifying as investors at the moment.
Yeah, that's what they're trying, and that's a big point.
Yeah, the way I've always thought about it was similar to what you're saying, how this is the wider financial institutions, wider financial markets is a product of who wants to buy, who wants to sell, who wants to assume the risk of this position at the core at the end of the day, right? So I've always thought of it as in terms of, I mean, any business model, right? You're trying to find a profitable way of conducting your business. You're trying to offer a product where you give the consumer what they have been told, that they're going to receive. And then you're trying to find an edge in whatever market that you're in, right? If you're in the pet store business, like you're trying to find an edge in terms of pricing amongst your competitors or branding or whatever, right? And so I think in the business, there's obviously the model in terms of the challenge that you're offering, but then at the core of it, there's also the model in terms of what are the percentage of people that are failing, that are passing, that are getting payouts, all of this. And there is a model there. There's definitely a model there, but I won't personally comment directly on them, but I always did wonder, generally, right, how do you maneuver with certain targets? Because you were saying the odds of passing and failing, like those are things that on the brokerage is 70%, and then with funding companies, depending on how you set up your rules, it could be different. And so the setup of the rules, I think, is really key in terms of the model. And if you choose to make the rules too easy, but then you choose to manipulate things otherwise, then obviously that's something that can be deemed as very inappropriate. So it's a tricky type of thing. Like if you want to act in good faith, you have stricter rules, right? You give the people what they're paying for, and then you don't have to do all this nefarious stuff at the end of the day.
To an extent.
What do you think about that?
To an extent, but I think what MFF was doing, like with the whole manipulation, is wasn't very aggressive. I
do want to hear about this. Yeah,
I think I can think of a lot of other firms who are doing it a lot more aggressive, and so they did it like a people broker. But
you're saying as far as like the price streams and the grouping and all this,
it's basic stuff.
It's very and in terms of the wider brokerage market, it's stuff that's happening all the time.
And no big deal. But their problem is they spoke about it, like also internally, but like how they spoke about it is the wrong thing, like unprofessional. But in the end, they paid out, and that matters. A lot of firms don't pay out.
I'll tell you one of the mistakes that we made. One of the mistakes that we made was